Hi, everyone. Thank you. Good afternoon. Great. Thank you. We all understand the concept of the power of the story. So today, let's marry that with the power of the picture, like these images here, which I refer to as the food waste wall of shame. Behind those pictures is my personal story, which I think can become your personal story. In my case, it's food waste and the challenge of successfully feeding 10 billion citizens by 2050. So how did I get in front of you here today? My story is a typical business story, economics degree, followed by MBA school, followed by 25 years in the retail, in the supply chain sector, managing a lot of processes and people, but really with a for-profit focus. And during that period, I felt something was missing, kind of a disconnect between people and planet. And so after a long period of thinking about that, I went back to school for a change management degree, and that led to another degree with a sustainability focus. And that led to just a number of thoughts coalescing on how I can change my life to help people and planet and really focus on the environment a little more. And that led to a journey into food here. Multiple experiences led to this. A bunch of things started to collide. One pivotal moment involved a conversation about the tragedy of the commons, in which we really reflected on the damage that we were doing to the planet in terms of resource depletion and climate change. And then shortly after that, I had an experience going through a supermarket one morning, and I witnessed a lot of really prime beef being thrown out. And this was in the middle of the financial crisis when a lot of people were really hurting. And it really stuck with me, and I asked a question about that, and I learned that, no, I said, aren't you going to donate that? And the answer was, no, we don't donate because we're worried about the liability issues. So I was really troubled by that, and I started to look deeper into the food system and realized that this was the first of many signals that I was on the right path. And you know what? Ever since then, the signals have only kept coming stronger, more frequently, and I'd say with more urgency, too. I became increasingly aware of the large amount of food that's going to waste in this country and globally. And I began to learn about the scale, learn about the cost of that food waste. And I began to take pictures to kind of record my observations along the way. And as I knew I was going to go deeper into this. And so I was stunned by the ease with which I could capture these images and the amount of the waste and the quality of the food that was being discarded. I mean, just look at these pictures when you see really a cross-section of the entire food sector, right? And look at how the quality of some of this food here, right? And so I asked myself, how can we discard this level of food when we have so much hunger in the world and we have such extreme environmental problems? Food waste being a colossal generator of greenhouse gas emissions, soil degradation, deforestation, and much more. And so I learned that the externalities of the food system were really kind of hidden, although incredibly costly, and that they needed to come to the surface. They were kind of hidden under the radar. And I realized that these were all signals of a dysfunctional food system, if you will, and that if we were going to successfully feed the planet by 2050, we had to get food waste under control. So this journey has led me to research, to writing, to blogging, to partnership creation, to teaching innovation for sustainability at the University of Pennsylvania, to working with the world leader in food waste prevention systems, Leanpath, where the focus is really on the most important aspect of food waste, preventing it in the first place. It's taken me all over the world, and I realized the power of a single image during a talk one day when the picture of these rotisserie chickens here in the garbage nearly brought an audience member to tears. And I received similar reactions in other talks, so I knew that there was really something powerful about these images in capturing these signals that we receive every day. It's amazing what we can see if we just open our eyes. The drivers of food system change are right in front of us here, and we can leverage them with pictures. So let's review some additional pictures and go a little deeper here. In my personal food waste journey, I've seen numerous examples of overproduction, waste due to arbitrary time deadlines, waste due to cultural expectations of perfection. I've had a young girl tug on my sleeve who was hungry and eating from a package of ketchup while she was being ignored in a quick service restaurant by others. And one thing I've become convinced of, these are critical signals of the need for change. We need to harness them. They're painful, they're disturbing, and it's very easy to skip past them. but we need to embrace the discomfort and act on them. We need to wrestle with the challenges in order to uncover the solutions and drive change. And everything starts with seeing them, right? And the images really help in that regard. So take those two images on the left. This is typically what you find when you go into a food bank. A lot of bread, a lot of dessert items, a lot of prepackaged items. I had the experience one day of trying to bring in fresh produce from a nonprofit that I was working for, and I couldn't find room to do that due to the amount of bread that was there. Low nutrient food, obviously. And that raises a key question, a systemic question. Should we, are we better moving this food around, or are we better addressing the root causes here and cutting back on that overproduction and putting the resource savings into root causes of solving poverty and hunger? And so I kept looking. If you look at the plastics, consider that. What does this picture tell you? To me, it suggests callousness and irresponsibility. We're producing 500 billion water bottles per year. About 90% of plastics, only about 9% of plastics gets recycled, right? And so when you think about that and the amount of plastic that remains in the environment and the fact that a lot of the food that we produce is wrapped up in plastic and food packaging, we really need to think about what we can do about that, right? What do we think about these constant messages about cheap food that erode the value that we place in food? Water security. Agriculture accounts for 70% of the fresh water consumption annually. So when we waste food, we waste about 25% of the fresh water in the world annually. Urbanization. Look at the pollution levels in our developing world countries, cities. How does that make us feel? Greenhouse gas emissions. The FAO tells us that if food waste were ranked as a country, it would be the third largest emitter of greenhouse gas emissions in the world behind the U.S. and China. And so, we really need to take note of these signals, and we really need to act on them and process them. So all these images signal the need for change, right? We must change our behavior, and we can change our behavior. But we have to make the need for change visible, and we need to create change leaders. We need to focus on three key pillars to reduce food waste: culture change, education, and prevention. We must change our culture of abundance, increase awareness, and educate our youth, and measure our progress with a focus on preventing the occurrence of food waste in the first place. And we need to carry these themes into other aspects of our lives regarding consumption as well. So to conclude, I've had plenty of signals in the 12-year journey that has inspired me to be an advocate for food waste reduction. And we're all getting plenty of big signals on the need to reduce climate change every day, right? Rising temperatures, fires, droughts, floods, rivers, and melting ice sheets. So my focus is on food because food is climate, and food security yields global security. Food is the most impactful lever we have to drive the health of people and planet. If we fix food, we get a multiplier effect that benefits all of the other SDGs. So today we've seen the ease with which we are discarding food, the excessive cost of that waste, the power of the story, and the power of images in elevating the story to drive change. So we need to harness the power of our daily observations, wrestle with them rather than ignoring them, leverage the emotions that they evoke, and leverage our images of the need for change into actionable solutions for change. So I'm hoping that my story can become a point of inspiration for your story. That's why I'm launching the Image to Action Twitter campaign today in conjunction with Climate Week and World Food Day to inspire everyone who wants to lead the transformation to achieving the SDGs. The Image to Action site gives everyone a place to post their images from daily observations. They're powerful signals of the need for transition to a more sustainable food system. We can all make our observations visible, tangible, and inspirational. You can all harness the power of images and stories and the emotion they evoke to become change makers. You can become a leader, a change leader for any one of the SDGs, and perhaps your story will start with a simple picture, an image to change. So I'll add one other hashtag, just see it, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And if you can't unsee it, you'll be driven to act, you'll be driven to lead others to change, and you'll be become a change maker, a climate shaper, as my friend Sarah Reversi says. So when you see signals of our broken food system, remember, just see it, tag it, wrestle with it, harness it, change it. Thank you.